Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I rise to present two amendments that I have filed and will be pushing hard for votes on this farm bill before the Senate right now. And I hope these get a full and extensive debate and a vote. They are relevant, related to the farm bill in significant ways. The first amendment is with regard to the free government cell phone program. And of course, that uses as criteria for eligibility the food stamp program and other benefit programs. And so it's directly related to that aspect of the farm bill. Mr. President, as you know, this program has been exploding almost without limit. And I have some fundamental concerns about it. My fundamental concerns are pretty simple and pretty basic. They come down to two things. First of all, I think the whole program is an entitlement mentality gone wild, that we have started the notion that folks are entitled to the government, the taxpayer, providing them almost everything under the sun. Secondly, and not unrelated, Mr. President, there has been widespread fraud and abuse in this program, and I'm convinced it is at the core of this program and can't be scrubbed out. Mr. President, what's the program we're talking about? Well, it is the free government cell phone program. It was started in 2008, and in just those few years since then, it's grown from $143 million that year, which itself is a significant amount of money, but it's grown to nearly $2 billion now, an 11-fold increase. Now, it's paid for by you and by me. It's paid for through our landline and cell phone bills. We all get a charge on our bills. If you actually pay your phone bill, landline and or cell phone, you get a charge and you pay that charge, and that's what funds this program. So ratepayers, taxpayers, citizens, millions upon millions around the country pay for this. The FCC itself, now the FCC is in charge of the program, it itself estimates that about 270,000 beneficiaries have more than one of these free government cell phones. That's interesting, that's important, because that's completely against the law and against the rules, completely prohibited. The FCC also says that the top 5 companies that benefit from the program couldn't confirm the eligibility of 41% of the folks they signed up. This was a report in 2011. The FCC did some spot checking. It found 41% of the folks these companies signed up couldn't be confirmed as eligible. Now, this has led one of my colleagues, Claire McCaskill, Democrat of Missouri, to say that the program is ripe for fraud with a, quote, history of extreme waste and abuse, close quote. And that's what my objections are all about: rampant waste and abuse and a general entitlement mentality that I think has gone too far. So my amendment at the desk, my amendment on this bill, would simply and completely end the program with regard to free government cell phones. Now, Mr. President, you have an argument that, oh, these problems are being fixed, we're making great strides. I was interested in seeing how far we've come. And so this very weekend, I was talking to a friend of mine back in Louisiana, Clarence. He was interested in that too. So Monday, yesterday, he decided to go to one of these outlets that advertises free government cell phones and just see what his experience was. He walked in and he said the truth. He was interested in getting a free government cell phone. He was asked, are you on any government benefit program like food stamps now? He answered truthfully, no. He said, I have a job, I don't make a lot of money. That was the truth. He was asked to produce 2 things, a driver's license and a pay stub. And he showed the people at the counter both of those things. They looked at them. Interestingly, they certainly didn't make any copy. They certainly didn't create any documentation because that could potentially get them in trouble. They looked at them. They gave him a form that he had to sign once and they immediately gave him a free government cell phone. It was on, it worked immediately, it had minutes on it immediately that he could use. And so he walked out of that storefront in less than 10 minutes with a free government cell phone. He then looked up the precise eligibility criteria of the program, which he didn't know before. And guess what? Surprise, surprise. He didn't qualify. He should never have gotten one. And so he's returning it today. And it'll also be interesting to see how long that phone is kept on even after he returns it, because the provider gets $9.25 from the ratepayer and the taxpayer and the FCC every month for that account. And this is his, Clarence's, free government cell phone. This is his receipt. Charge is zero, absolutely free, and completely contrary to all of the rules of the program, which is why he's returning it today. Mr. President, we have serious spending and fiscal challenges in this country, but we have an even greater challenge, which is we've lost the faith and confidence of the American people, and we've lost it because of this. We've lost it because there are tents popping up on every other street corner handing out these free government cell phones like candy. And why is that happening? Because the people handing out the phones have a vested interest in doing that, have a vested interest in not worrying about whether eligibility criteria are met. Because every time they hand out a phone, they get $9.25 per phone per month, as long as they can sustain that gravy train. They're the biggest welfare abusers of this. Rich owners of companies who milk the system to get richer, who I would call government welfare kings. This abuse needs to stop. We need to recapture the confidence of the American people, and my amendment would help do that. And secondly, Mr. President, I will also be presenting and pushing for a vote an amendment to limit and bar certain people from receiving any food stamp benefits. And those are folks who have been convicted of violent and serious crimes like violent rapists, pedophiles, and murderers. There is a misconception that that ban is already in the law. In fact, it's not. In fact, the only ban that exists is for drug felons, and in the law is an opt-out for states so that a state can opt out of even that ban. My second amendment is very simple and straightforward. It would establish a complete ban in the program for anyone who's committed a violent rape, a crime of pedophilia, or a murder. And there would be no opt-out for states. I hope, Mr. President, we can form a bipartisan consensus around this basic idea and put that basic fundamental limitation in the law. And I urge my colleagues to look at both of these amendments and to support both of these amendments. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.